Hey guys, so I am doing a Meet the Developer video. Um, I've got a lot of questions that you guys have sent in for you guys to, get answers here, there, stuff like that. But I do have kind of an intro that I want to do before we get into it so that I can kind of it will address some of the questions, but it's also just kind of an intro, something that I wanted to, tell you guys about me. Also, I do have a squeaky chair that will be going off probably the whole stream. This video will be probably done in a few parts, so my outfit could change back and forth here and there. So if it does, if it doesn't, I don't know. But I do know that as of right now, I'm waiting for Tony to get home so that we can go get ice cream. Which starts into a little about me. So my name is London. A lot of people just call me Red. I am 26 years old, and I was born in Boston, but then I moved to Texas when I was younger. I moved out to a ranch, which my dad always told me we needed a ranch name. And I didn't know what ranch name I wanted until this whole Ropin Ranch thing hit. And I was like, Dad, it obviously is Ropin Ranch. So it became our thing. So I moved to Texas when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And I got my first horse when I was fourth grade, which is like 9, 10, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember how old fourth grade is, but I got my first horse in fourth grade. I remember I actually got pulled out of class and my mom was on the phone because I didn't have a phone. So my mom pulled me, or I got pulled out of class. I answered the phone that was in the office. And I was like, hello. And my mom was like, hey, London, I just want to let you know that when you get home, you're going to find a friend. But I'm not going to be home because I'm going somewhere and I'm running a little late. So when you get home, do not go out and see your friend without me being there. And I was like, what does that mean? And I got home and I had a little horse in my backyard. And she was a Pony of America. She was a brown and white paint, and she was super, super cute. Her name was Scarlet, and she was a yearling, and my parents had gotten her from my farrier. And at this point, I had been riding horses for maybe 2 years now. My farrier had a ranch, and his ranch had a bunch of horses where he did private training and stuff like that. Wait, no, that wasn't my farrier. Sorry. My riding instructor was down the road, and I took lessons from him. And he used a farrier who came over to my house all the time and stuff like that. And so that's how I got to know my farrier. And so I had Scarlet for about 2 years. Hold on, I gotta turn on my do not contact me sound. There. I had Scarlet for about, I think it was 2 years. It was either a year or 2 years until she broke my finger. So I have a very wonky finger here. It goes, it's yeah. She broke my finger because I put my hand in her halter and little baby London got picked up by the horse when she jumped back, and it went pop and popped right out of place. So I was in a splint for a while on my finger. And after that, my parents were like, maybe giving our daughter a yearling is not a good idea. So they ended up selling her back to the farrier. And the farrier found her a home. I don't know where she went. Then I got my second horse. And at this point now, we had 2 lambs, Lincoln and Lulu, 2 mini donkeys, and 2 dogs. So then my farrier came back and was like, okay, I've got you another horse. This one is completely broke. She's an ex-barrel racehorse. She's going to be fine. So I got her, and her name was Star, and she was a black and white paint, and she was like 18 years old. And so she was like old, but she also like still was very active. And so she was just a perfect like outback riding horse. My ranch out in Texas has 3 acres. But we borrow land from my neighbors on either side who let me graze my animals on both sides. So my dad has put in a fence on the left side to graze for 2 acres over there, and then the right side we open up and they go over there for other grazing. And so I had Star until my freshman year of high school. And that is where the story of Ropin Ranch starts. So somewhere in that time frame, my next door neighbor, her name is Lauren. Lauren and I did everything together. And we would play horse, however you want to say it. We used to play that game all the time. And we were addicted to it. I forget what I was breeding, probably paint horses, because like I was obsessed with paint horses by that point. So I was breeding horses on horse, and I was like, well, this game is stupid. I'm so mad that this happens here and this does this and this does that. And I was so upset with it that I was like, I want to make my own game. And at the same time, Lauren and I had a dream. And our dream was that together we would open up our own ranch later on in life where we would breed horses, and it was going to be 100 acres, and we would have all of these pastures, and we would have goats and chickens and donkeys and cows and like all these animals. And so we together started planning our ranch. And so we drew out like ideas on like, oh, we're gonna have a pasture here and a pasture here, and this is where our house will be, and then we're gonna have a garden here, and then our chicken coop is here. And so we had all this planned out. It was like our dream best friend thing. And so I started looking into coding. I asked my dad, like, hey dad, I want to make a game. How do I make a game? And my dad was like, well, I can teach you. So my dad got me the total Adobe suite, which had to do with Adobe Dreamweaver, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe, everything. I got everything. And I started learning how to code. And I am a self-taught coder. Honestly, I literally started by going to w3schools.com and doing all of the lessons in HTML and CSS. And learning everything there. And obviously ChatGPT was not around when I was a little bitty child. So at this point I'm 11. At 11 years old, I decided to make a game with my best friend Lauren, who was next door. She was drawing the graphics, and we were taking the papers, exporting them into the printer, because scanning was how we got things done. So we would scan them into the printer, and then I had this giant Wacom tablet that was like that big. And I would trace over her graphics and turn them digital. And I think she did some of the coats. I can't remember if she did coats or if she just drew. But either way, we didn't really know what we wanted to do. So I think if we did coats, it was like just us testing here and there. We hadn't gotten that far in development yet. And so then December 30th, well, actually it was December I don't have it in here, but I have a plaque. It was December. It might have been either like December 15th or December 20th, because it was before Christmas. 2011, my dad bought me the domain name Ropin Ranch. That was a name that Lauren and I have been going back and forth on for the year. At this point, I think we were like 6 months into development. And so I started putting things live so that we could see stuff. And then high school hit. The next following part of this video will discuss how I went through bullying within high school, some trauma that happened, which included self-harm, eating disorders, toxic partners, and suicide ideation. I want to make sure that everybody feels safe, so this trigger warning is within this video. During this section, I do not go into any details, but only that this is something that I went through and that I survived. You will notice me disassociating, and for those of you closest to me, you will know that this is a very hard topic for me to discuss. But it is a very important role on how Ropin Ranch came to be. It was my trauma baby. It was my fight, my blood, sweat, and tears from dealing with all of my trauma in my past. If you are dealing with this kind of thing, you are able to skip. I will place a timestamp on the next transition that you can skip ahead once it's over. Please know, though, you are not alone, and it does get better. I used to hate that statement and used to think that it was just something that people said. But in my opinion, school is the worst breeding ground for this trauma. And once you have gotten through it, once you are able to make your own decisions and get out, that's when things turn around. So whatever you do, keep fighting, keep going, and you will eventually get there. My DMs are always open on Discord for those of you who need to reach out and talk to someone. Love, Red. So, this is when it gets a little deeper. I will put a trigger warning here just to go into detail a little bit of I was bullied and bullying and self-harm and eating disorders. So, my freshman year of high school, I had to have my face reconstructed. I had been on ADHD medication since I was in second grade. And we don't know for sure, but one of the side effects of that was stunt in the growth. And so they technically classified my issue as idiopathic, which means that they don't have a cause. But I had idiopathic mandibular condylosis, which is a condylar resorption that occurs in the jawbones. So, my freshman year, for Christmas, I had my jaw broken, and they placed 9 metal plates in my face. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I light up like a Christmas tree when I go and I get x-rays on my face. It took me over a year to recover. I was severely bullied before the surgery, and I was severely bullied after the surgery. But the bullying got worse after I graduated, or after the surgery. Before it was just people calling me names, pretty much telling me that like I had a problem with my face, calling me ugly, stuff like that. After the surgery, I lost a lot of weight because they accidentally fractured the right side of my face. And when that happened, they had to wire me shut. So I was wired shut for 6 weeks. And they told me that since I was going to be missing so much school, that if I didn't go to school, they were going to absence fail me. So my freshman year, second semester, they made me go to school, wired shut, purple in the face, yellow, purple, bruised, and everything. And I had to bring a drool rag to school because I would literally sit in class and drool would be running down my face because I lost all of my feeling right in here. And I didn't know that I was drooling, and my lips were ripped all the way back here. And yeah, that caused a lot of problems. And like I said, I lost a lot of weight. They ended up unwiring me early because of that. I was unwired, I think, a week early because I went under 95 pounds, which was really bad. And after that, I developed an eating disorder because in my eyes, I was really skinny and I was gaining weight, and I didn't like that I was gaining weight, and it mentally bothered me. And then on top of that, as one does when they are a freshman girl / woman, they start developing breasts. So I started developing, and I had a lot of people that were bullying me, telling me that I went and got a boob job. People were telling me that I was getting cosmetic surgeries for everything now, and the bullying turned physical. I have a lot of trauma and disassociation from it, and my junior year, I transferred high schools. So I only took freshman and sophomore year with my first high school, and then I transferred my junior and senior year into a technical academy. And that's when my coding journey really, really started. So after I moved to the technical academy, I, started feeling a lot better because I wasn't being bullied as significantly anymore because I was around a new group of students. My first high school that I was in was a graduating class of 1,100. The school that I ended up graduating with was a graduating class of like 150. So it was a significant less amount, and the people that were in that school didn't know me pre-surgery. So I always liked to say that there was a London before and a London after. So my junior year, I started my coding classes. And I started dating a guy that was also into coding, and he became my first toxic boyfriend. And a long line of toxic boyfriends and problems within relationships in my life. So after that, I moved on to my senior year, and my senior project had to be something in coding, and I chose Ropin Ranch. So I revisited the game. At this point, though, Lauren and I weren't as close of friends anymore because she was a year older than me. So my senior year, she was already in college, and so I didn't really have a lot of connection with her anymore, and I started doing stuff kind of on my own. And that's when I started doing a lot of like the login, the signups, stuff like that, and getting everything kind of started. That's when I started developing like a breeding system, and then I graduated in 2017. When I graduated, I started a community college. My community college was about 30 minutes from my house, and at this point, Star was sold. So I lost Star at the end of my freshman year. My dad was like, look, like you have a lot of things going on right now. We need a pause on the horse thing because it's a lot on you and we need to take it off your hands. So they sold Star, and it did help because it was one of the responsibilities I had, and it was significantly harder. So after I graduated, I started community college, and I really, really dove into Ropin Ranch. At this point, I'm with toxic boyfriend number 2. And this is the significant toxic boyfriend that, if you ever hear me talking about, this is him. So I was with him for 3.5 years, and he helped me start up the Discord server. He really helped me organize like algorithms. He was really, really in depth with Ropin Ranch with me. He helped me kind of set up everything. And if I didn't have him with me at that point, I don't know if I would have been as confident in getting the game starting up, because he really helped with that. And then we released. So we did what would be called a soft release in 2019. So in 2019 was our soft release. We were out for about 1.5 years. I think we got up to about 3,000 users. Not bad. I am back from ice cream. So where were we? Ropin Ranch released, and we had about 3,000 users. But since I hadn't done a lot of back-end server work, we had a lot of issues with like users and stuff like that. So I ended up having to shut down the server. And everyone that was signed up between 2019 and the 2022 soft release was deleted. So in 2022, I re-released. But before that, toxic boyfriend number 2 broke up with me. I went into a mental health spiral. I had a significant issue going on, and then I graduated. And when I graduated, I or I didn't graduate, but I finished my 2 years at the community college. So I finished my 2 years at community college, and do I still have ice cream on my lip? I feel like I see it. Okay. So after the 2 years of the community college, I had met Tony. Tony and I met online. We were playing Counter-Strike. I was streaming. I was very much not myself. It was my 21st birthday. I was a little tipsy, and I was doing it because I wanted toxic boyfriend number 2 to see me streaming and see that I was fine and dandy, and I was obviously not. So I met Tony. I told him that his voice was cute and that we should be friends. And Tony said, okay. So then we started talking. I went and I visited him, and I went to his prom, which was here in St. Louis. And then he showed me campus. And when he showed me campus, he was like, you should apply. And I was like, maybe. So I applied, and I looked over all the funds, and it was actually cheaper for me to go to college out here and move out and be on my own than it was to stay at home and commute to college and go to college out in Texas. So I went ahead and I made the move. I made the huge jump. I made sure that the apartment that I was moving into was signed in my name and only my name, so that if we did end up breaking up, that the apartment was mine. And pretty much since day one, he started staying with me. So we have now been together. It'll be 5 years in June, and we successfully got engaged in February. So we're planning for a fall wedding. Not 2025, but 2026 is what we're thinking right now. I'm not 100% sure on like all the specifics, but it will be here in Missouri. And at that point brings us to current. So right now I am staying in a dorm here on campus because Tony is going to college to finish his what is it? Okay. Tony is finishing his master's degree, and that is scheduled for next May. So next May, he will be done with his master's, and we will move out of this dorm. And yeah, that's up to date. So now that you kind of have a little info on my story and a little bit on how Ropin Ranch works, I will get to our questions. Now, during the whole story, I will also put up, as we go through, the questions that came up that were regarding things, because I did make sure that some of my talking points were based off of some of the questions that you guys had asked. So, I sectioned the comments or the questions into 3. We've got personal, game development, and gameplay. So I am going to start with personal. Personal. This is where I put in a little thing here because it's personal stuff. So, what do you do in your spare time? Well, as someone who has always been a gamer, I love playing video games. So I like to play Sims. I like to play, right now, I'm a game jumper. So that goes back into kind of the whole Ropin Ranch thing. I really, really enjoy the idea of being able to jump to other games during different periods of the year. I keep trying to keep my head right here so that this light isn't bothering anyone, because it's bothering me. So head right here. So I like to jump to games. So single players are a big thing for me. I have been doing Star Stable when events come out. I like Ranch of Rivershine, which I totally don't have up on my screen right here. I have, did I say Sims? Sims, Oxygen Not Included, Don't Starve. I haven't played How Horse in forever. Never played Horse Reality or HEE, or I have played Rival Stars. So that I have to put a check mark. I did this one. So that was a question. No, I have never played Horse Reality or HEE, but I have played Rival Stars. I don't know what HEE is. I've seen people say it, but then I don't. Horse. I don't know what it is. But I like to read. I'm an avid reader. I really like animated shows. So things like My Little Pony, The Last Airbender. Right now I'm watching Castlevania because one of my coworkers is having me watch that. I'm also trying to finish up Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince? Yeah, I'm trying to finish up that one. Sorry, my nose itches. And then I also have a connecting question to that of what is your favorite book, series, and TV show? So like I said, I don't really have favorites. I'm kind of a jumper, and when it gets to that point, like I'm just really, really invested in that. I just finished reading the Court of Thorns and Roses series. I'm now starting on the Plated Prisoners series. I really, really like the Red Queen series. Yeah, I'm kind of all into that fae romance, romantasy. Movies. Like I said, I like animated stuff. TV shows, really, really like animated stuff. So yeah, there's that. So we're gonna mark off this question and mark off this question. Favorite horse breed. My favorite horse breed in real life would have to be paint horse. I love the fact of genetics. I love the fact that they're different, that they have all these different markings and all these different patterns, and that it could always be different. Love, 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 love that. When did I start horse riding? Well, that was in my other thing, but that would have been around 3rd grade, because I got the first horse in 4th, so maybe 2nd or 3rd was when I started horseback riding. If you could have a dream ranch, what state or country would it be in? This is a hard one because I really want to have a ranch, obviously, but I don't know where. Dream ranch. It depends on if this is a political question. If this is a political question and we're talking about the fact that the United States is how it is, I want to say out of country, most likely like France, Italy, something like that. If I don't have to think about that, and we're just thinking about state, favorite state, I'd have to say maybe like Utah. Utah's really pretty. I think that doing something there would be really fun. And I would be near the Anaki herd, which is, and I don't know if I said that right, which is one of the wild horse herds that the BLM management actually manages. And there's a lot of people that are for like assisting them and getting them out of the BLM's ownership. So I would really like to be involved in something like that. That would be a lot of fun. I picked up my tea and I didn't sip it. What animal would you want to own, rare or mythical? All I'm thinking about is unicorns. Potentially, like, I love leopards and tigers and stuff like that, but like I also wouldn't want to deal with all of that because like I know what comes involved with a lot of those ownerships. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? Well, Tony really wants to go to Italy. I think that Italy would be beautiful. And then I also really have always been obsessed with Paris and like France. So like I think that would be a big thing. I just really like the culture. I like the beauty. I love the weather. I love all of that. I think that would be a really, really good place to go. Do you have a horse? So, wow, I forgot about this part. Wow, I forgot about this part in my backstory. So, I have 2 horses. And I will tangent from this. So back in 2017, 2018, right after I graduated, I was like, hey, I really want to get back into horses. And I was with toxic boyfriend too. And so when I was with him, he was encouraging me to look for a horse again because he knew that I really wanted to and stuff like that. So, and the plan at that moment was that I was going to be moving to a different state. And it was going to be a big move because I was going to go out to college with him and all of this stuff. And so I was looking at horses, and I went onto Craigslist and I saw a post. And this post said, "Horses going to slaughter, please save." Looking back on it, I have no idea if the kill pen was the one that made the post, or if it was somebody raising awareness that wanted people to go to the kill pen, or maybe it was someone who didn't know what the kill pen was and they just saw this and they wanted to make a post about it. But either way, I saw it on Craigslist, clicked on it. It took me to a Facebook link, and on the Facebook link, which was the kill pen, I saw a bunch of horses. And at the time, I was really, really close with my best friend. I'm still really close. But at that point in time, I was really close with my best friend, Danielle, who lived across the street from me. And she wanted to get a horse too. And this was like right before my birthday, which is in April. And so I was looking, and I noticed that there was this really beautiful sorrel chestnut mare. And she was $250. And I was like, wow, she's so cute. She's so pretty. She looks really, really sad. She needs some help. And so I placed an order for her. And my parents said that I could. So I placed an order for her. And I sent this random PayPal $250. And then my friend Danielle wanted another horse on there. So she sent them $250. And then the next morning, we realized we had to go get these horses. So we got in a truck. We went and we found a place that did trailer rentals, trailer rentals. We got a horse trailer. We went out to Kaufman, which was about 30 to 45 minutes away. We drove out there, and it was awful. It was a property that was probably only about, gated communities. This was a house in a gated community, which had a normal front lawn. And when you drove down the side, you had the house, and when you drove behind the house, had I have a visual memory, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pastures. So it was split in half with a little trail, and then it had 3 pastures on either side. Each pasture was probably, I'm saying like this was not even on 2 acres of land that this was separated out. Complete dirt and mud, caked mud up to these horses' ankles. And horses everywhere. Like literally they had shoved all of these animals into these small pastures. And I pulled up, and my mom literally looked at me and goes, "What is this?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I just sent this man $250 because I said that I could get this horse. I don't know." So I pull up, we load the horses in the trailer, which took a lot of effort because the horses were absolutely terrified. The men that were out there had these giant flags, and they're waving and screaming at them. Dogs are running at their ankles and grabbing these horses' ankles and corralling everybody in a corner. And the horses got loaded. And we took them home, and we unloaded them. Completely not tame. Like, they let you touch their faces a little bit, but like you could not approach them. I cannot believe that I did this. We brought them into my property, and we put them in a pasture that was like a little bigger than like a round pen. And we put them in there, skinny as bones. It was April, and all of these horses had such a heavy coat on them still that they had to be extremely brushed down, extremely malnourished. had huge coughs and fits. I was feeding them a diet that was going to be adding in some like oils into their system and stuff like that so that they would be able to gain some weight. And I mean, I couldn't even believe how bad these horses were. About 3-4 days went by, and both of them came down with strangles, which strangles is abscesses that grow on their throat and have big pussy outbreaks of giant yellow gross pus everywhere. And if it gets into the ground, then it is toxic and it can infect everybody. So I didn't know any of this, and I had to help all of them, or help them both, and we named them April and Friday. And so April was mine and Friday was Danielle's. Well, Danielle, I love her to death, but she has a tendency of buying things and then not wanting them. And so eventually she realized that this was going to be a lot of work and she didn't want to be involved in it anymore. So I ended up selling Friday, who we ended up believing was a Peruvian Paso or a Paso Fino. So I ended up selling her to a woman at a Paso Fino farm, and she ended up buying her. And then April is a standard bred. She's standard bred, thoroughbred, and Morgan is what technically like her makeup was when we sent it to a DNA test in. And I still have her. After April, I adopted another one, and her name is Opal. Opal is a Arabian. And then I also assisted in adopting my friend's, which is Mariah. And then I fostered Pippa, which was a Hinny. And then I fostered Cider. Wait, no. Pippa was the buttermilk buckskin that I fostered. And then Cider was the Hinny that I fostered. So I've had a good amount of horses throughout my life. Not a lot, but a good amount. And so that is, do I have a horse? That's kind of my horse story. Moving on. How many animals do you have? Okay, well, in my apartment here, I have only Toast, which we'll get to because don't worry, you get to see Toast. So in this apartment, I only have Toast. But back in Texas, I have April and Opal. I've got Burrito, which is a donkey that I've had since I was like... Burrito we got when I was like in second grade as well. And he is old. He is really old. He had a brother named Taco. Taco passed away last year. Or we had to put him down. He was not doing well after the winter. So we no longer have Taco. We have Burrito. And then I have Indigo, goats, Indigo, Queso, Nutter, Butter, and Sarah is who we currently have back home. And then we have 3 geese, Du Chantelet, or Du, Pasha, and Galileo, or Galley. We've got, I think we have 2 ducks. Shut up. What? I think we have 2 ducks because we had 2 and one of them was chasing all the other ducks and was going after Galley, and Galley is disabled. And so Galley could not handle herself around him. He was trying to get her and she did not want him. So they sold Aries, which was the duck. But then we only had 1 duck, and her name was Libra. But then my mom just texted me the other day and said, we're getting a Muscovy, which is another duck. And I was like, okay. But I haven't heard about that duck yet. So let me send a text. Okay. Did you get Muscovy duck? And then we've got multiple chickens. I don't even know the number because my mom just went through a whole thing where she just sold like 4 ducks, chickens, sold like 3 or 4 chickens, but we have a lot of chickens. And then we've got 2 cats. We have Fincat or Finnegan. And then we've got Miso. We've got Miso the cat. So I think that's everybody. So 2 cats, 2 horses, a donkey, 5 goats, 3 geese, maybe 2 ducks. I'm gonna go with 10 chickens. So 25 animals, I think. Yeah, sound about right. Favorite drink. So I don't really do soda anymore, but soda is Sprite. I'm kind of a water and Gatorade person, to be honest. Favorite sweet treats. I'm a chocolate person. I really like my chocolate. Oh, favorite drink. I like tea. I'm drinking tea. And how old is toast? Which we're going to do a toast episode at the end. I'm going to show you all a toast. Toast is 3 years old. How did you get the nickname Red? Okay, so another big piece right here. Okay, so when I was little and I started signing up for games, my cousin was like, "What's your favorite color?" And I was like, "Red." And she was like, "What's your favorite flower?" And I was like, "Lilac." And she was like, "And how old are you?" And I was like, "I'm 7, but I'm almost 8. So my username became Red Lilac 78. And on everything, it's Red Lilac 78. And, well, I would play games, and everyone would call me Redilac, or Red Cadillac. And I was like, just call me Red. So I got the nickname Red. And so now I'm Red. Okay. Now we're going to go into this section of gameplay. I'm trying to go through the shortest sections first. What do I like about Ropin Ranch? Well, I like everything about it, otherwise I wouldn't have made it. But if I'm the most proud of anything, it would be my genetics and my marking system. I think I really, really like that. The bloodlines, the genetics, and the markings, the breeding. Favorite horse in Ropin Ranch? Are we talking about favorite horses released or favorite horses that are going to be released? Because the next horse breed that's coming out, that's gonna be my breed. And that's a hint. That's a hint to all of you on what breed it is, because that's gonna be my breed. We'll see if you can figure that out. I'm shedding. If I had to talk about favorite horse right now in the game, Aztecas is my big one that I like to breed, but I also really like the Morgans. What has been your most frustrating project to code? Right now, I'm really pissed at Sable Savers. That was I was so mad about that. I started that in, December. It took me literally 4 months to finally, mindset get that finished, because that was so awful. That was so brutal with the amount of steps. I could not do it. Favorite feature to release? I really like the Grand Championship. I'm really proud that we have something else that they can kind of go pathway-wise, and I have a lot more that I want to do. So next month of May is going to be my Grand Champion one, and I'm going to try to get both the dressage and the show jumping Grand Championship finished. So that's kind of my plan for May. Favorite coat color? Buttermilk buckskin. Love the buttermilk buckskin. When was Ropin Ranch created? Well, this one was touched in my little story, and that was 2019 for the soft release, and then 2021 for the re-release. Next question was, how many players are on Ropin Ranch? 13,646. How many players are logged in daily? Well, today April 30th, we have had 145 logins. And if we go to our database, which I'm going to try to move quickly doing this, that fluctuates. But typically we're at about over 100 every day. Sometimes we top over over 150. Login stats. So by day, but on September 12th, 2024, we had 303 logins, which is the most that we've ever had. So that was the highest date, was the 303. Okay, back to questions. Now with 24 questions, we've got the last part of our series here, which is game development. Game development. How did you come up with the idea of making a game? Well, we wanted to make a game that was competitive, that was not How Worse, because I was mad at How Worse and I didn't want it to be How Worse anymore. So we decided we wanted to make our own game just because we were children and because we wanted to do it. So, how did you learn code? So I mentioned before, I am self-taught. After I taught myself how to code myself, I did go to classes. Obviously, I went to school. I graduated with a computer information systems degree and a focus in cybersecurity and a minor in something. And I have 4 certifications. So I don't really think about that though, because I don't feel like I learned anything in college, to be honest. I feel like I learned everything self-taught. Okay, everything else is like gonna be part of the same topic. So, what made you want to add multiple animals instead of just horses? Well, when I was originally planning the fact that I wanted to have my own in real life ranch, I wanted to have multiple animals. Probably because I grew up with goats on my farm, with my horses and with chickens and with everybody else. I just automatically assumed that that's how it should be. And so that's kind of originally my thought process was, I want to have other animals, so this game is going to have other animals. Next animal that I'm planning on adding. Will you release 1 per year? So as far as the species go, I have been releasing 1 species per year. I do plan on releasing another species hopefully this summer. But I have not finished graphics. And obviously, graphics is going to be my 99% of all of it. The coding takes quick when it comes to just copy and pasting what we have. It's sheep. I am coding sheep for the next species update. I have currently drawn, there will be 8 different breeds. I do not have the paper. It's somewhere on my desk. I literally have I have so many papers on my desk. It's not even funny. Hi, Toasties. Hey, friend. There's going to be 8 breeds. I have currently drawn 6 breeds. I'm working on the last 2. The babies are the hardest, because they all look the freaking same. Why do sheep look the same as babies? Okay, that's going to be the death of me. I have to figure out how I want to draw all the different baby sheeps, and I don't understand how I'm going to do it. Yeah. He came. This is Toast. Would you stop reaching for the stars? What are you doing? Look at the players. Look at his little mouth. Look at his little mouth. And then he's got, stop it. Then he's got these big ears. I think he sees his reflection and he's like, what is that? That is you. That is you, bunny. That's a toast. I know. That's a toast. Crazy. Oh. Okay. I did that one. Most challenging part of making Ropin Ranch. My time. That's the biggest part. Which goes into the, have you ever had a moment where you wanted to give up but it worked out in the end? Yes. It is hard for me because I work 5 days a week, not the traditional 5 days either. So I typically will have Wednesday, Thursday off. I'll have Monday, Tuesday off, or I'll have random days. Like this week I have Monday and Wednesday off. And right now on my schedule, I work every single day until next Wednesday. And so on days that I work, I don't want to be working on the game because I'm exhausted. I'm dealing with a lot of medical issues right now. And so by the end of the day, I'm so tired that I crash and burn. And a lot of it, the most challenging part, is the fact that on my days off are spent coding, are spent bug reporting and dealing with people. And I think my biggest thing is when I get messages of people that expect me to be faster, or I release a feature that literally took me like 4 months to work on and they're like, this is it. And I'm like, yeah, ta-da, hee hee hee. And it just is, it's very defeating as a single developer. I mean, I do all the artwork, I do all the coding, I do all of the marketing, I do all of the social media, I do streams to try to keep updated with people and having people engaged. I am constantly in Discord servers for all different communities. I am in literally almost 200 Discord servers, and I have my notifications on all the time. It drives Tony up the wall because he's like, oh my gosh, will you just shut your Discord up? But I'm constantly getting pings. I'm constantly getting notifications because I almost feel like if I don't stay engaged that I'm going to get forgotten. And it's this feeling inside that if I don't keep pushing, if I don't keep working my hardest, that Ropin Ranch is going to just be completely forgotten. And that all of my work is going to be for nothing. And that's really hard. That's the hard part on me because I've put everything into this game. I really have. And when people take it for granted or people act like I can do a billion things at once, I can't. That's I think the hardest part. The most rewarding part is the good people. The good people that message me every day, that talk to me every day, that are like, go Red, you've got this. People that are telling me that they're super excited for features, people that are hyping me up, people that are sharing, people that are excited for all these new features, and when the features come out they post about it, or they engage with me and they make guesses and they actually like are involved. Those are the days that really, really make me feel good. You know, obviously it's really cool. My mascara is running here. It's really cool. And I think I made this realization like a year ago when I started streaming. When I started streaming Ropin Ranch on my Twitch account, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm actually like playing my game. Like I am staying engaged with my game for over an hour. Like, and there's no bugs and nothing's breaking and like it's working and like everything is doing exactly what it needs to be doing. That was like a crazy feeling. Like I was sitting there going, it works. And that's pretty cool. That was really, really cool. How many more horses do you plan on adding? Hold on. If I can type correctly. So this next set is broken into 3 sets. We've got the 3 breeds that are coming out soon, really soon. I'm almost done, but I don't want to give a date on it because I don't want to stress myself out. But they are almost done. And then we're doing 2 and then we're doing 2 and then we're doing 3. So it's a group of 7 that are considered gated breeds. And that group is coming out really soon. I'm hoping to get all of it done before the sheep. The set after that is a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is a group of 8. It's 1 new breed and 7 crossbreeds. That one's going to be fun because that is the intro to draft horses. So that is going to be me preparing the site to be able to start handling having draft horses in the game. Set number 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 breeds. That is the remaining draft horses that I plan on adding, as well as their crossbreed counterpart. Crossbreed counterparts. After that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is the 7 pony breeds that I plan on adding, but I have not started planning those phases yet. So they're going to have other breeds that are going to be like the crossbreeds for them, but I haven't even started brainstorming that yet because there's so many breeds in between. So I still plan on a good amount of breeds. Don't worry about that. They're coming. What would be your biggest dream to accomplish with Ropin Ranch? My biggest dream, which I know will never happen. I've come to the realization it'll never happen. To be able to stay at home and make a living off of it. I'll never be able to do that. The last 2 years, we've only made $1,100. Let's say there's 55 weeks. That means I'm making $20 a week. In order for it to be something that I can live off of, in order for it to be at the current salary that I am at, which right now I'm making $14,000 a year at my job. If I wanted to make $14,000 a year, I would have to make $254 a month off the game, which is $63 a week, which is $10 a day. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't think we're going to get there. And even then, if I was making $14,000 a year on the game, my degree is worth $100,000. Like if I go and I find a job, I could easily be making 6 figures. So, yeah. That's my biggest dream. It wouldn't happen. So, I've started trying to plan for a new dream. And that new dream is that I would be able to finish the game. I have no idea what that looks like. I've got a lot more planned. This game was so big in my brain when I was a kid, and that's kind of off what I'm going off of. But I've got so many ways that I've wanted to keep going and embellish it. And if I could just keep going forever, I would just keep going. And, yeah. Would you ever plan on making playable minigames? Yes and no. What's hard about it is the fact that people play on mobile, which I try so hard to tell people not to play on mobile because it's a web-based game. I have a toast fluff in my throat. It's a web-based game, and so playing a mini game on your phone is very different than playing a mini game on your computer. And programming it for both of it is really difficult. So my mini games have been my events. I've got a bunch of events planned. I've got a list of like 9 or 10 events that I really want to get into. So that's kind of my mini games that I plan on doing. Have you ever thought of implementing a Mustang makeover event? Yes, and we have one. Except when we released it originally, we didn't have Mustangs. So instead, I just grabbed a bunch of wild horses and rewarded everybody with random wild horses. And it was awful. So now that we have Mustangs, I want to redo that event so that it would actually be a Mustang. But I'm still working on it. That is something I need to go back and start working on again. Opinions on making the game more RP friendly between players. So I wasn't sure if this was specifically a question that was talking about role play, or if this was specifically a question that was just talking about it being more of a collaborative game. As far as role play, no, I don't know. I don't really have much of an idea there. At least not between players. As far as groups and like making it more collaborative, I do want to, but I don't really know how. I don't really have a lot of ideas. We do have a suggestions thing, which I can put in the bottom of this video. I would love to have some more suggestions, because every time I go there, I feel like I have the same things, which is, London, add more horse breeds. London, I am having an issue and I don't know where the bug reports is, so I'm going to put it in my suggestions. Why? London, you should add this. Already added. London, you should add this. Already said I was not going to add. Like, I would love to have some more ideas. Please and thank you. Do I plan on redoing older line art? No. This is something that I did in the beginning. So when we re-released in 2021, we released with just the base 6 breeds. I released the crossbreeds. As soon as the crossbreeds came out, I realized that we were having some people comparing my artwork to online. And I mean, obviously I'm a self-taught artist, and I was the kind of person that always went online and found free references and stuff like that. But I got brutally ripped apart for how, I guess, my line art looked very similar to other people's line art. So I redid everything. And when I redid everything, it was really hard, because in the sense of like Andalusians, and let me get you a legitimate number here, because like this is gonna blow your mind. There is 28,111 Andalusian graphics on the game. 28,000. Yeah, I'm not redoing graphics. Not again. I am not going back and redoing 28,000 graphics. Yeah, gotta be crazy. So no, I'm not gonna redo it. But I am just getting better. So, you know, take that as you want. Adding in main styles and tails. Would love to, but probably not, because that 28,000 will now turn into 48,000, because if you're able to change your graphic and add in different main styles, then that means creating more graphics, which is more work on the server, which means whatever. I did recently hear that Horse Reality does not have TAC. And oh my gosh, if somebody had told me the Horse Reality did not have TAC, I would never have made TAC for Ropin Ranch. Not because, like, I was basing it off of Horse Reality, but I didn't know I had an option not to make TAC. Like, the TAC is the worst part in the game. It is annoying, it is tedious, it is my arch nemesis, and that is why I don't want to do TAC. But, that being said, I just did redo the TAC graphic. I might add more. I don't know. Who knows? This might be easier. I might be able to figure it out. I don't know. I haven't been able to, but I hate the TAC. I really wish I'd never added it in. Do you purge the wild? sips tea. Yes, I do. Actually, the wild. So we have two main accounts. We have Ropin Ranch, which is obviously what you guys all see. That's where the wild horses come from. So on Ropin Ranch, hold on, I'm trying to open my database to show you this. On Ropin Ranch, 14,873 horses are on the Ropin Ranch account. So recently I realized there were too many horses on the Ropin Ranch account. So I moved half of them to the Wild West account. 11,445 horses are on the Wild West account. But you guys just keep giving me more horses. And the issue is that I can't delete them, like in the sense of like just hitting the delete button. If I delete it, your horse all of a sudden no longer has a mother. Your horse no longer has a dad. Your horse no longer has a child. The foals icon on how many whatever has happened breaks. The amount of foals that you have bred as a user no longer exists, because when it goes to check the database on how many horses you have bred is no longer existent because the horses got deleted. I could kill all of them, but then it would just be data sitting in the database doing nothing, which right now it's not doing nothing. It has the ability of getting adopted. It has the ability of recycling. So in our last event that we did Stable Savers, it pulled all of the horses from the wild, and a good amount of horses actually got adopted, but a lot of horses were in it. So I know that, and I really think that that was a way that I was using to try and like recycle some of the horses and get them to be adopted. So I don't know. Are you planning on adding achievements? Yes, achievements are coming. It's been something I've been working on, just have not gotten that far yet. Plans on going past level 50? Yes. I think when I made the leveling system, I just was automatically thinking of a number and going from there. And I thought of expanding this number so that like people would have to get farther to get other animals. But since 50 was already so hard to get, I wanted to make sure that I covered before. So sheep. So what do we have? We have chickens at level 8, goats at level 10, cows at level 20. It seems weird for goats or for sheep to be 25. So I'm not sure where I want to go with that. I might make it where either sheep are 15 or I adjust cows to go up. There's going to be a post about it. I like to do a lot of these forums and stuff like that on when level, like opinions on the game. But I'm thinking that if goats are 10, then even compromising and doing sheep at like 18 and increasing cows to like 25, 24 or 26 is a buffer that I could do. And increase that and level that out. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I want to kind of fill up those gaps on what's going to happen first. And so obviously I have these other species ideas. And I want to fill it in somewhere between those other numbers, but I don't know where I want to go with that yet. Because it feels weird to just say, okay, you can now go to level 60, but then there's nothing to get at level 60. Like, that just doesn't make any sense on my side. Now, as promised, I'm going to give you a toast time, and I'm going to pause this, move over to the couch, and show you toast time as the last of our video. This is toast time. Toast like snacks. So toast does tricks. So spin, Spin. Good boy. Hold on, hold on. Here, come here. Spin. Spin. Right there. Look up at the camera. Up here. Gotta give them looks. You gotta show them how cute and adorable you are. Oh, that cute, adorable Toasty. Can you show them you in your bed? Oh. Toast in his bed. Show them you in your bed. Yeah, how cute you are in your bed. Toast also likes to play tug of war. You gotta grab it. Tug it, tug it, tug it back. He plays tug of war because he's crazy. Tug it, tug, tug, tug. Tug the rope. So Toast likes to play tug of war. He also has, here, show them. He also has stacking cups. Yes, which he likes to throw everywhere. Not in your bed? What do you mean, not in your bed? Here, take it. No, you take it. I don't want him to fall backwards. He's like, not in my bed, Mom. And then, lastly, I don't know where Toast's other toy is. But you get one more snack for being a good boy. And that is your Toast time. So Toast and I say bye-bye and thank you for coming to our video. Right, Toasty? Oh, angry Toast. Oh, angry. Oh, I'm gonna eat my double chin because I'm so angry.